Hey, everybody, welcome to another episode of SoTellUs Time. In fact, it is the first episode of SoTellUs Time for 2026, which is really awesome. And for some of you, maybe you're thinking, crap, it's already 2026. I can tell you, I know 2025 flew by for us. We are like, in fact, look at my beard. You can see the gray in my hair, the white. Oh, that was from 2025. I got all this white in my beard now. And so I think a lot of people probably feel that way. 2025 definitely was not what people expected it to be. And so we've got an awesome episode for you guys today. It's a great way to start out the beginning of the year. We're calling this the 2026 Profit Planning Blueprint. Because the thing is, most businesses are just kind of hoping next year, or I guess, well, now this year, are hoping that this year is better than the previous year. But here's the thing, hope is not a strategy. So we don't want to hope, we want to create. So if you want 2026 to be more profitable, to be less stressful, to be more scalable than 2025, the work doesn't start in January, like the end of January. It starts right now. You've got to jump in and get it going, because we are already, what is today, like the 6th or something? It's Tuesday. Yeah. And so we're already 6 days in, people. I know. And you're like, wait, but it's the first week of like really being back. We get it. We do. But it starts now, because before you know it, the first quarter will be over. And mark my words, you're going to go, holy crap, the first quarter's already over. And so let's dive in. This is going to be an awesome one. And if you guys follow this blueprint, as always, if you follow along with what we're doing, because what we're talking to you about is what we're personally doing in our business. And I can tell you, we did very well in 2025 compared to a lot of businesses out there. And remember, we have tens of thousands of customers in 34 countries around the world. So we have a really good finger on the pulse. We know what's going on. And so let's dive in. Let's get this one going.
All right. So we're going to start with the foundation, basically, which is your numbers, right? You've got to know your numbers. And again, like Trevor said, Trevor and I met on January 2nd. And already started all of our planning for 2026, right? We reviewed what happened in 2025, and then we started planning for 2026. So, but one of the things that we started with was reviewing the financials from 2025, right? And, looking to find hidden profits in there, right? And here's something that's really important. You don't always need more revenue.
Right.
Oftentimes you just need fewer leaks in your revenue, right? So a lot of times we think about like, oh, I gotta generate more revenue. And we ignore the leaks that are happening in the business. That revenue, those expenses that are going out the door that could be profits if we were doing better, right? So it's important to be able to recognize that. So you want to make sure that, right off the bat, review your profit and loss statements. Take a look at 2025, see where all the money went. Review it month by month, not just annually. If you look at your profit and loss for the whole year, you're going to have no idea, right, where the money went during that time. You're going to be able to see big chunks of money that went here, there, or wherever, but to see it month by month, that's going to really give you a good picture of, where you're spending that money. So some of the things that you can identify is subscriptions, or software that maybe you're no longer using anymore. Marketing expenses that didn't really produce an ROI. Take a look at your marketing for 2025. Make sure that you're focused on good marketing and taking those, finding the bad ones, the ones that didn't produce, and then shifting those marketing dollars over to the ones that are working. That's really important. And then also look at maybe services you're paying for out of habit, but are not necessarily getting you results, right? Yep. What are those things that you're like, man, well, yeah, we've always done that. Yeah, but do they actually produce? Right? Just because you always did it doesn't mean you should keep doing it in 2026. So here's a good question to ask yourself. If I had to rebuild this business from scratch right now, would I spend this money again? Right? If you started from scratch and you were building a brand new business, would you be spending the money the exact same way you're doing it now? Or would you be doing it in a different way? So that's what you need to ask yourself. So here's some things. One thing you can do is maybe highlight your top 3 expenses that could be reduced or eliminated. That's what you're looking for, right? What expenses are out there that you can go, yep, you know what? I can reduce that bill or I can eliminate that bill. We did that. We had some software that we're like, you know what? We have more licenses than we need of this software. Let's go ahead and reduce that. Let's save. Another big one for us was we made the decision to move from one server provider where we've had our servers for all of our technology for a very long time to another one, which was that's going to be a dramatic savings in 2026 and actually give us better service because of it, right? So we looked at some of our big expenses and then we figured out how we could reduce or eliminate them or move them to even a better place, right? Reallocate them, and then again, you want to make sure you're reallocating that saved money towards high performing areas, right? So it's not just, I'm going to save the money and, do nothing with it. It's where can I put that money to make me more money, right? That's really important too. So, all right, those are the actions you're going to take when it comes to your financials. Now, let's talk about, once those numbers make sense, the next question is, are your people operating at their best? So once you got the numbers figured out, the money, now let's talk about our people. You need to make sure that you evaluate employee productivity and your team efficiency, right? Because I'm going to bet, as long as you're not a solo entrepreneur, payroll is often one of the biggest expenses that a business has. So if it's one of the places that you spend the most money, your productivity there matters the most, right? More important than software, more important than marketing budget, payroll, right? If that's where the majority of your money is going, then you need to be focused on the productivity of your team, right? So I'm going to ask you a question. Are your employees busy or are they productive?
Or are they busy or are they making you money?
Exactly.
That's exactly right. Now. We figured out that we had some busy people that weren't really making money. In fact, costing us money, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Right. And we had to make some changes in our business based on that. Right. And if you're a solo entrepreneur, you need to ask yourself, are you just busy or are you being productive? And we did a podcast last month that talked about that. So definitely go back and listen to that podcast if you haven't listened to that one. But here's what you're going to be looking for when it comes to your employees. You're going to want to look for roles that lack clear expectations.
Yeah.
If you have a role or somebody in a role that you really can't define what the expectation is for them to do, not very productive.
Yep.
So it was actually funny. I was just talking to someone the other day that works in corporate America, and they work for this huge company. The company just is merging with another company. And he was like, okay, so like, what's my focus for 2026? And this is no lie. His manager was like, yeah, so hopefully by like February 14th, I'll be able to give you a definitive answer of like what you're going to be focused on in 2026.
Oh my gosh.
And he's like, so like, what am I supposed to do between now and then? And he's like, just clock in, maybe drive around to some of the neighborhoods. And he's just like, dude, I have no idea what I'm going to there's no direction. Right.
Oh, no.
Basically his boss said, just look busy. Oh. And then I'll let you know in a month and a half. So, right. That's a role that lacks clear expectations. right? And we
Yep.
can't do that. Corporate America might be able to do that, but us as small business owners, we cannot do that and be successful and profitable,
No,
right?
corporate America can't do it either.
No.
That's why they have investors. That's why they have just they lose so much money. And it's crazy. And look at even we do. And all the time when Troy and I go in and do consulting, I was in with a solopreneur and he was saying, I don't have any money. Like, I don't have any money to put into marketing. I don't have any money to, and it's like, well, it's kind of hard. If you don't have money to spend, you don't have money to, you don't have any money to help you make more money. So I said, but this is something that's common. And so I just said, listen, let's just go through everything. And like kind of what you've already gone over of like softwares and systems and, looking at every aspect of the business and seeing, is there money being wasted? And I can tell you every single time there has always been money being wasted. What was funny was for this solopreneur, we were able to find $1,000 a month. We found $1,000 a month. Now for a solopreneur, $1,000 a month can help make you more money. It was money that he was spending no matter what, but it wasn't making him any money. It was like redundant programs that he didn't even realize had so much crossover and other things like that, subscriptions he had, things that weren't doing anything for his business. We were able to get him $1,000. So think about that. That's 12 grand a year that he can use in marketing. And guess what? He was able to grow with that 12 grand. And then he was able to bring on a business partner that was a good business partner. And then they were able to bring on employees and they were able to get a new office space. And it was amazing how their goal went from, hey, look, my wife drives because that's what we always ask, what are your goals, right? Well, right. His first goal was my wife drives a van, like a minivan from the 90s. 90s. And he's like, I'd like to get her something newer. He's like, not new. I understand. I don't have the money for that. He went from that to like living in a custom home now and all these things. I mean, I'm telling you, it's dramatic. The small changes we make, the minor adjustments can be very dramatic. And so we'll even share how we were doing our look back. I'll share what our 2026 kind of theme of the year is here near the end and kind of our look back, unless Troy already goes over it, but our look back of how we wasted money in 2025 and why did we allow that to happen? And so how to prevent it. So we now know what to be looking for and then how to prevent it. So I'll share that too here near the end. If Troy doesn't already have that written into the thing.
I don't. So that'll be great.
I don't write these things.
All right. So the other thing you want to look for when it comes to your employees is repeated mistakes or bottlenecks, right? Is there an employee that keeps making the same mistake, or is there this bottleneck in your business where everything seems to flow really good, and then there's this one employee that, that everything bottlenecks there and gets backed up? The other thing you want to look for is tasks being done manually that could be automated or simplified, right? How much time is spent by your team manually doing something that could just be automated? I was talking to a business owner the other day and they were like, oh man, I hate doing invoices. I'm so far behind on invoices. I know there's people that haven't paid us. And I was talking to about their, like what their employees are doing. And he's like, well, I have one employee that's like answering the phones and sending out text message reminders for their appointments. And I was like, wait a minute, that can be automated. And I was like, how much time are they spending? Oh, they're spending like a couple hours a day. Oh, great. So that couple hours a day, we can take that away from them, automate that part of that job for them. And now they can spend 2 hours a day doing invoices for you. And he's like, oh my gosh, that would be great. So, looking at those types of things make you more productive, make your employees more productive. All right. So again, like Trevor said, a small improvement in productivity across your team can dramatically increase your profits without hiring anyone new, right? Yep. That's really important. All right. So your action steps for this one is clarify your top priorities for each role. What is their top priorities for their job? And then you need to set 1 to 3 measurable outcomes per position, right? How can you measure that they're doing a good job and being productive and making you money, right? And then you want to identify tasks that you are still doing as an owner that can be delegated to those team members. That's a big one for us. that we had to take care of, that we had to do, right? Okay, so now once you've done that for your team, now let's talk about how new customers are actually finding you, right? So we're going to talk about auditing your marketing. You want to double down on what works. So your marketing should be predictable, not a guessing game, you know? So the first thing you need to review is look back at 2025 and where did your leads come from in 25? Were they referrals? Did they come from reviews that you had online? Are they from your ads like Google ads or Facebook ads? Did they come from your social media channels, right? What about email or text campaigns that are going out? Now, probably you have leads coming in from, you know, all these, or hopefully all of these different areas, but you want to look at those and you want to figure out where did your best leads come from, right? Which ones produced the most qualified leads and which ones had the highest close rate. You know, that's one of the things that Trevor and I really focused on over the last couple of years with our Connect platform is being able to really track for our clients, where did the leads come from and which ones had the highest close rate so that they know where to spend their money, right? You've got to do that. If you don't have a system in place to do that, then you need to get a system in place to do that, right? That's really important. So you can come and talk to us about that if you need help with that, tracking the leads and tracking where your highest close rates are. You know, you need to really stop trying to be everywhere and focus on what actually works when it comes to your marketing. Okay. So again, your actions for 2026, you need to choose 1 to 2 primary marketing channels for 2026. You need to identify which ones are your best 2, and then focus on those and put money into those. You need to create a simple plan to be more consistent, not more complex, right? Sometimes we think we've got to have this insanely complex marketing strategy, you know, with all these moving parts. And it's like, nope. You need to be consistent. Consistent is where it matters, right? I can't tell you how many times we've seen businesses that they're having all of these leads come in and they're not consistently communicating with those leads.
Yeah.
And they're totally wasted.
And people think, oh, I just need more leads so I get more sales. No, you're not even maximizing the leads you have. You are wasting so much money. It's crazy. In fact, Troy and I won't even take on a client for any kind of marketing, anything like that, if they don't use the Connect product, because the Connect product it tells us where everything's coming from. It tells us what's closing. It tracks everything along the way. So it's like, we won't even do that anymore because that's what most companies do. And we've talked about this in the past, that they just want to drive you leads and they hope, you know, it's like throwing crap against the wall and seeing what sticks, you know. We don't do that. We're like, we want to know where every dollar and what's converting and what's working well. And it's amazing when you know what works, how you can increase profits, right?
Yep. And I love what you said there, Trevor, because that kind of goes into the next one too, right? Ensure your phone is answered and follow-up is fast. That's another reason why if we're doing marketing for a client, they have to have the Connect product because it does the automated follow-up, right? It's sending text messages, it's sending emails, because here's what we found. The customers, you know, as much as they want to be following up with the leads, they're not good at it. Yeah. So we automate that entire process and we see their conversion rate go way up because they're, you know, even if we don't focus on more leads, their conversion rate is higher on the leads they're getting, which means they're making more money, right? So you got to look at that. All right. So now once you've got that figured out, you know, and all of this leads to one bigger question. Where are you spending your time, right? And this is kind of the last thing. Well, we got 2 more things we'll talk about real quick. But where are you spending your time, right? Your business will grow to the level of your leadership, not your effort, right? You can put in a ton of effort, but if you're not a good leader, the business will only grow to your level of leadership, right? So many owners are stuck in daily operations and have no time to think strategically. If you're listening to this podcast and you're saying, well, I don't have time to look over my numbers. I don't have time to, do all of this with my employees and figure out how to make them more productive. I don't have time to look at my marketing. You are working in the business, not on the business. And guess what? You will not have time to grow the business.
Yeah. Well, how does the business grow when no one's working on it?
Yeah.
I'm telling you. And if you don't know what I'm talking about being able to spend time working on the business, you are stuck in the wheel. You're stuck in the wheel. You are in the grind and you don't understand yet what it means to run a business. And I don't mean that in a mean way. I'm not trying to be mean, because I will tell you, and like I said, when I reveal kind of what we're doing and everything, we got stuck. Troy and I did good working on the business, and then we got stuck in the wheel. So I'll share.
Yep, exactly. So real quick on this one, you need to ask yourself, what tasks should only I be doing?
Mm-hmm.
And what could be systemized or delegated? And again, go back to our podcast. We have an entire podcast that talks about how to determine what you should be doing, what you should keep, what you should delegate, what you should automate, and then what you should be using AI for. We call it KDAA. So go back to that podcast and that will teach you exactly what you should be doing. But really, you need to be focused. Growth happens when you are focused on the vision, the systems, the people, and the partnerships with your company, right? So your action for this one, the next step for you on this one is block out 60 to 90 minutes weekly in 2026 for CEO level thinking.
And that's a minimum,
right? Okay. Now the last thing I'll talk about, and then we'll have Trevor kind of hit it, is, to know if you're winning or losing, you need something final, like clear metrics, right? So you need to be able to identify and track the right KPIs, and the KPI stands for key performance indicators. These are your numbers that tell you whether you're being successful or whether you're failing, right? And here's the thing, what gets measured gets improved. If you can't measure it, you're not going to improve it, right?
Right.
So you need to have, every business should track a short list of KPIs, such as your revenue and profit margins, your cost per lead, your conversion rates, your customer retention, your labor percentage or productivity metrics, right? So you want to make sure you avoid tracking too many numbers and you focus on what really drives decisions in your business, right? How can you know if your marketing is working if you don't know what your cost per lead is and your conversion rate is? How can you grow your business if you don't know what your customer retention is? Because if you're losing more customers than you're bringing on, then you're not growing. So you need to know that number. And then you need to know your revenue and your profit margins, right? So those are the ones you want to focus on. So choose 5 to 7 KPIs max and start tracking those. And then you need to review them weekly, if not monthly, right? Sometimes you might be able to get away with monthly. We review all of our numbers weekly.
Yeah.
And I would highly recommend that, right? And then use those numbers to guide your decisions, not emotions, right? Emotions have no place when it comes to making the decisions of the business, right? It's all going to be based on those numbers. All right. That's all I've got, Trevor. So we'll have you kind of wrap up with the part you want to talk about, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah. Troy and I always tell people, we tell clients, we don't deal in emotion. We deal in fact. We deal in numbers. Emotion has no place, because people will say feels like and this and that. No. What do the numbers say? If you don't got the numbers, don't tell me it's not working. And so that's how we like to run that. Okay. What we looked at is, again, we tell you everything that we talk about is what we're personally doing. So our theme, which I believe you all should create a theme for 2026. What is your idea of this year? What does it look like? What does it encompass? And so our theme is called Good, Better, Best. And it's actually based off of a talk given by Dallin H. Oaks, that was a sitting Supreme Court judge for many, many years. And this, you can probably Google it, Dallin H. Oaks, Good, Better, Best talk. It kind of is in life. It's life in general, but it will, business is life. Being an entrepreneur is life. There is personal and professional, and you kind of have to learn to navigate both of those. And so it's a great talk. You should check it out, Google it. But that's going to be our theme for this year is good, better, best. What are we doing good? What do we need to be doing better? And then how do we be doing the best that we can be, right? And what that means is for like Troy and I, beginning of 2025, end of 2024, beginning of 2025, we were like, we are working on the business. There are things that need to change. There are things that only Troy and I can do. We are the big picture people. You are the owner. We are the owners. We need to be working on the big picture and making sure that all the cogs work and that it's a well-oiled machine. And when we're working in the business, we become a cog in the system. We're no longer, the mechanic keeping everything going and flowing and moving forward. No, now we've become one of the cogs. And so who is doing that? Who's oiling the machine, right? So that's what we're talking about. We're going to be doing good, better, best. We're going to be evaluating personally and professionally. And we're going to be evaluating what are Troy and I working on? What are our employees working on? What is each department? So it starts with Troy and I at the top. Then it goes down to each department. Then it goes down to each person within that department. And so that is what helps us really break down and do a 30,000, we call it a 30,000 view. We're supposed to be looking down from 30,000 feet, seeing everything, not down in there. If we're down in there, then we can only see what's near us and what's coming at us. And this employee's bringing me this and this and this and that. And we're just getting distracted 24/7. So good, better, best. And that goes, and so here's what I'll do. We'll actually do a podcast on good, better, best and what we're talking about with how we're going to lay that out for us in our company. I'm excited about it. We're going to release it to all of our employees here in the first quarter. And we've got some really cool things. We've got some performance markers for employees that are coming up. We've got trainings and things. And when you finish these things, you're going to get rewarded for it. So everything's going to get better. Everyone's going to get better. We're going to take things from good to better. And then finally, by the end of the year, we are going to be at our best, better than we've ever been, the best that we've ever been. And so I'm really excited about that. Now, looking back, what does that mean? Looking back, what we found, looking at 2025, because Troy and I, we started the year out doing, working on the business. Well, quickly we got sucked in after the first quarter, maybe the second quarter, kind of mid-year, we got sucked in to being cogs in the system. And we got deep into, just getting this done, getting that done and working, but not overseeing. And what that equated to is when we looked back, and 2025 was a rougher year for a lot of people and a lot of businesses. When we looked back, we could identify multiple places in different departments where we lost revenue, where we lost, I should say profit, not revenue, but profit. We lost profit to the tune of, I'll just be straight up with you, to the tune of like close to $250,000 that we could have had in additional profit if we were looking outward, right? We were up above, looking down and looking in. We would have seen these things and caught it quicker to where we didn't waste $40,000 over here because we didn't catch it quick enough. And we didn't waste $60,000 over here. And, that marketing strategy cost us $180,000, but really wasn't profitable. And so we could have saved that. And by making some simple adjustments at the end of the year, it's funny, by making some simple adjustments near like in the last quarter of the year, we were able to make up money that we had missed out on and money and profit that had been lost. But if we would have been paying attention all the way along, we would have actually had like $250,000 of additional profit in the company. So that's a big deal. And I think for a lot of you, that's like some of you going, holy crap, like, we don't even make $250,000 or whatever that is. So it's amazing, but it all equals out. It doesn't matter if you make $100,000. If you look at it and you go up above and look down and start to run the business instead of being in the business, being on the hamster wheel, you will see, oh, wow, I could have saved $10,000. How would you have liked to have an additional $10,000 or $20,000 or 40 or 100, So that's what we're talking about. That's why I'm really excited about our theme for the year, the good, better, best. I'm really excited about some of the new things we're implementing. We're going to be sharing these with you, certificates, trainings. We're going to be investing in our people and ourselves, and which invests in our business. And guess what? Invests in additional profits to us. And it really will. I already saw it. We've already made up a bunch of money that could have been profit. And we're starting out the year better. So we're just going to keep that momentum moving forward. But I'm sure if you guys look back, you will see, oh crap, I spent this much every month for a year on this. I spent this much. I did this. Oh crap, this department actually lost money because we paid out in payroll more than we actually brought in that department. This is what we're talking about, is breaking it all down. So we'll get into that more as the year goes on and as we kind of unveil what we're doing, but we're really excited about it. We're really excited about 2026. I actually know this is going to be a good year. It's going to be a good year for you guys. It's going to be a good year for us. Promise. It is. Things are turning around and we are going to focus on the right things to make sure that you guys end 2026 going, holy cow, that was phenomenal. Hopefully this year flies by too, but we're all like, whoa, that was awesome. That was a great year to fly by, because we are now excited for 2027. Before you know it, we'll be talking about 2027. It's pretty crazy. All right, everybody. Well, we love you. We appreciate you. We're excited to spend this year with you. Thank you for an amazing 2025. As we went over in our last podcast, the podcast has grown significantly. It's getting momentum like crazy. I mean, just our stats on Spotify, not including everywhere else, YouTube and social media and Audible and, all the different places, because we are literally everywhere. The growth has been amazing. The support has been amazing. And it's all because of you guys. So we really do appreciate you. Like, comment, subscribe, and share it. We will see you guys on the next episode of SoTellUs Time.